For almost a decade, I was barely making $1,000 a month as a struggling entrepreneur. And then once I discovered Joe Dispenza's teachings and meditations, it didn't take long for me to hit the $10,000 a month income ceiling, then $20,000 a month, then $30,000 a month. And it took me 5 years and 11 months to go from having less than $500 in my bank account to now being a millionaire. Some might say that it took me a long time, but for me, it feels like it went so fast, from being completely broke and financially struggling to now having the financial freedom to do whatever I want. And that's why in today's video, I want to share the step-by-step system that allowed me to achieve this goal so that you can achieve the same results. So in today's video, I reveal the 5-step roadmap to manifesting $1 million with Joe Dispenza's meditations, the exact action steps I took every day, week, and month that made my financial transformation possible, and the life-destroying mistake that I almost made and why you absolutely must avoid it if you ever want to become truly abundant. When I sat down to meditate for the very first time, I felt absolutely nothing. Today, however, I'm already excited when I wake up that I'm about to meditate, that I'm about to tune into the frequency of abundance. And then when I sit down to meditate, my body is vibrating and I'm opening my heart and I'm ready to go. And learning how to meditate and to use meditation as a manifestation practice is kind of like learning to dance. At the beginning, you are stiff, analytical, and inflexible, just like the typical German. Here we go, he's roasting himself again. Yes, universe, but that's not the point. The point is that after a while, you learn how to dance. And the same is true with meditating. You learn how to tune into the emotions, how to truly feel them, how to visualize your future. And over time, you'll get better and better at it. No matter if you're doing Joe Dispenza's tuning into new potentials meditation, or you're synchronizing your energy to abundance, or you're changing boxes. Focus on fully experiencing the emotions of your abundant future. Don't hold back. Allow your body to feel the emotional intensity. Connect with your heart and fall in love with your future. And this leads us to step number 1 of my system for manifesting $1 million with Joe Dispenza's meditations. Step 1. Increase the emotional intensity of your meditations because you might be holding yourself back from going all in. But what might be holding you back? Your limiting beliefs about money, past experiences that you think back to, feeling weird about experiencing and expressing emotions while you're meditating. I mean, hey, for most people, the idea of just sitting down, closing your eyes, and then crying tears of joy, even though nothing has changed in your physical reality, is absolutely weird. But in his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, Joe Dispenza reminds us that we have the power to feel any emotion we want to feel, despite any external circumstances, by fully detaching from our external world. And in his book, Becoming Supernatural, he actually urges us to feel the elevated emotions of our future before the event happens in our physical reality. And that's why I now want to share the action steps with you that allowed me to let go of anything that was stopping me from truly experiencing the emotional intensity, which then allowed me to become a millionaire. Action step 1. Turn your limiting beliefs about money into empowering beliefs. Because here's what you have to remember. The moment you become aware of your limiting beliefs about money is the moment you become empowered. Once you turn them into empowering beliefs, you can allow yourself to fully feel the emotions of your future because your analytical mind is no longer holding you back. And in week number 1 of my 8-week one-on-one coaching program, the Abundance Reality Shift Coaching Program, we bring all the limiting beliefs about money and your worthiness of money that are currently hidden deep in your subconscious to the surface, and we then transform them into empowering beliefs. And this leads us to action step number 2. Action step 2, write down any past experience that is stopping you from fully immersing yourself in the emotions of your future. Maybe you've been told to be realistic. Maybe you've been told that you're too emotional. Remember that the past doesn't influence your future unless you allow it to influence it. So allow yourself to feel the emotional intensity. Action step 3, practice experiencing the emotions of your future with your eyes closed. Practice makes perfect, and yes, this is something that you of course do when you meditate with Joe Dispenza's meditations. But you can also throughout the day, every now and then, close your eyes for a moment and feel yourself into the feeling of being a millionaire. And the more you reach that feeling, the more you then also reach the frequency of abundance that draws this reality to you. And now I have to share an uncomfortable truth with you. It is a very painful truth, but you deserve to know it. The universe won't knock on your door every day to remind you to meditate. I have shit to do. In his book, You're the Placebo, Joe Dispenza reminds us that in order to change our life, we have to become someone else. And this process requires a lot of effort. And I wish I could just tell you that this process of transformation is always sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns. Look, I am a unicorn! Today the universe seems to be in a really good mood, but anyway, it's not always sunshine, rainbows and unicorns. Sometimes you are doubting everything. Sometimes you might even experience dark nights of the soul where everything is too much for you. And yes, you might have to do Joe Dispenza's Synchronizing Your Energy to Abundance meditation more than once until you feel abundant. You might have to rephrase a certain thought more than once until you change your way of thinking. In fact, in his book You're the Placebo, Dr. Joe Dispenza quotes the research from Nobel laureate Eric Kandel, MD. He writes, "When new memories are formed, the number of synaptic connections in the sensory neurons that are stimulated doubles to 2,600. However, unless the original learning experience is repeated over and over again, the number of new connections falls back to the original 1,300 in a matter of only 3 weeks." And this leads us directly to the second step that I followed religiously. Step 2, show up for yourself every day because nobody is changing your life for you. And following this rule is even more important on days where you don't feel like it, where you don't feel like meditating, where there's this voice in your head that says, you can do it another day. Maybe you didn't sleep that well or something is stressing you out in your life, but these are the moments where it counts the most, because these are the moments when the old self tries to creep back in. And the universe also wants you to show up for yourself every day, because by showing up for yourself every day, you signal to the universe that you are committed. Every time you meditate, affirm, and think in alignment with the future you want to create, you send a new signal into the field. The more often you ping the universe by feeling the frequency of abundance, the more opportunities the universe has to materialize your desire. In his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, Joe Dispenza shares with us that we have to move away from recreating the emotions of our past, and we have to repeatedly feel the elevated emotions of our future. And that's exactly what I did, and that's why I'm now a millionaire. Now, what if I told you that meditating can be an incredibly lonely experience, especially if everyone around you thinks that you have lost your marbles? And Motivational speaker Jim Rohn famously said that we are the average of the 5 people that we hang out the most. And from my personal experience, I have to say that he was right. And I wish I had done this sooner. Now you might be asking yourself, what in the holy chocolate donut has this to do with manifesting money? Well, here's the truth. Reaching and maintaining the frequency of abundance is so much easier when you surround yourself with people who believe in you, who are practicing what you practice, and with people who have already achieved what you want to achieve. And I wish I had realized this sooner. I wished that I had just zipped it every now and then while talking with somebody who was clearly not interested in spirituality, manifesting, and who had no idea who Joe Dispenza is. I could have definitely saved myself from a lot of these interactions. You know, I went to a Joe Dispenza retreat and I saw this woman standing up from the wheelchair, and then I had all these ideas for a new business and it was just amazing. Yeah, right. Are you on drugs? I invite you to meditate every day, even multiple times a day, but I also invite you to think about what Joe Dispenza said in Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Most people spend the majority of their time preoccupied with negative thoughts and feelings. And because there are so many negative people in this world, you have to make a conscious effort to connect with people who are positive, because this makes your journey of connecting with the unified field so much easier. And this leads us directly to step number 3. Step 3. Connect with people on your journey and with people who have completed the journey. So yes, if there are people in your life who believe in you, remind you to meditate, and encourage you to reach the frequency of abundance more intensely, it's way easier for you to stay consistent and believe in possibility. But there's another group of people that I surrounded myself with on my journey to manifesting $1 million. Because in his book Becoming Supernatural, Joe Dispenza invites us to model wealthy people. And what's the best way to model wealthy people? Surround yourself with them, observe their behavior, learn from them, listen to them. That's exactly what I did, and that's why I went to networking events. I went to investment seminars. I asked wealthy people for advice. Combine this with doing Joe Dispenza's meditations every day, and you will become an unstoppable force. Or maybe you also want to meditate with some of the more than 60 guided meditations and hypnosis files for manifesting love, health, and wealth that you get as one of many amazing free bonuses for investing in my very affordable audio program, the 11 Days to Manifestation Mastery program, and you can check out the second link in the description to find out more. Now imagine the following situation. You just finished a Joe Dispenza meditation. You felt absolutely amazing during the meditation. You felt incredible. You tuned into the frequency of abundance. And then right after the meditation, you turn on the TV and you watch the news. Why is this always happening? Oh, people are so stupid. Oh my God, this happened. Oh no. Oh no. Then you get in your car to go to work, and even though somebody's cutting you off, you try to stay calm and relaxed because you remember that Joe Dispenza described in his book Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself how it's so easy for us to go back in the unconscious behavior that then pulls us back in the past. So you stay calm for a moment, but then you just cannot contain your rage and you say, screw it. Oh, I cannot believe it. Then you arrive at your workplace and your coworker says something that triggers you, and for a moment you imagine how good it would feel to take this coworker and to just throw him out of the window. But then you remember and you ask yourself, could it be that I'm just a little bit disconnected from my abundant future? A little bit. To be honest, it's more likely that Germany wins the award for funniest people in the world than that you are still connected to your abundant future in this very moment. And this leads us to step number 4. Step 4, see your abundant self in your meditations, but don't forget to be your abundant self whenever you are not meditating. In his book, You're the Placebo, Joe Dispenza describes that most of our unconscious behaviors are the result of subconscious programming. And that's why it's so important to change your unconscious behaviors. So remember this. 1 hour of meditation can never win against 16 hours of unconscious behavior that is rooted in the limiting emotions and thoughts of the past. That's why Joe Dispenza encourages us in his book Becoming Supernatural to embody the person we want to be. And that's why I now invite you to ask yourself the following questions. How would my abundant self behave towards others? How would my abundant self react in stressful situations? How would my abundant self walk and stand? So yes, see yourself as your abundant self every day in your meditations, but then also embody it and act and behave like this new self throughout the day. That's how you become a perfect match to the abundant reality you desire. Now, what if I told you that my income has always and will always perfectly reflect my thoughts? Because in the year 2019, before my spiritual awakening, I was making $1,000 a month, often even less than that. And now in the year 2026, I'm making $30,000 a month. And my thoughts were and are in perfect alignment with these completely different income brackets. And here's the truth. The quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your life. The thoughts you think consciously in the form of affirmations and the thoughts you send out into the field during your meditations in the form of your intentions elicit a response from the quantum field. We could also say that every thought that you think consciously or unconsciously is like a stone that you throw at the door of the universe. Stop doing that, you little rascal! Or maybe you don't want to throw a stone at the door. Maybe you just want to knock on the door of the wonderful, beautiful penthouse that the universe is living in. I'm a baller, if you could see my crib. In his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, Joe Dispenza describes how consciously no longer thinking the old thoughts neurologically removes the old self. And this leads us directly to step number 5 of the system that I used to manifest $1 million with Joe Dispenza's meditations. Step 5. Create new habitual thoughts that are in alignment with the images you see in your meditations. And remember that your habitual thoughts create your beliefs. And in his book, You're the Placebo, Joe Dispenza describes that our beliefs can be more permanent than attitudes, and they then become subconscious programming. And that's why I invite you, as Joe Dispenza always says, to let no thought go by unnoticed and to observe your thoughts throughout the day. Write down any negative thought that comes up again and again. Become aware of these limiting thoughts, then actively think new empowering thoughts. Every time you use an affirmation, you are putting a new thought in your mind. In order to manifest $1 million, I had to stop myself from thinking thoughts such as, I am so stupid, I just can't do it. I don't have what it takes to become successful. I haven't made any significant money in the last decade, so why should it now be different? Instead, I had to repeat thoughts such as, I am smart, I can do anything I set my mind to. I have what it takes to become increasingly successful. My past does not define my future, and I have the power to create my dream life. And in his book, You're the Placebo, Dr. Joe Dispenza reminds us that our thoughts are incredibly powerful and that we should choose them wisely. And I chose my thoughts very wisely. And that's why I'm now a millionaire. And if you are an entrepreneur and you want to take your business to the next level, or you are a professional and you want to take your career to the next level, and you want to multiply your income without working harder in the physical realm, then I invite you to go to affirmation2manifestation.com/abundance, or to click on the first link in the description to find out more about my 8-week one-on-one coaching program, the Abundance Reality Shift Coaching Program. And on this page, you can watch countless testimonials from previous coaching clients who have transformed their life. And on my journey to manifesting $1 million, I've watched countless Joe Dispenza meditations, and I discovered the exact techniques, in fact, I discovered the exact laws that others have used to manifest their abundant dream lives. And if you're ready to find out what I've learned from analyzing and going through more than 800 Joe Dispenza testimonials, then you can watch this video next.